أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبو القاسم المصطفى محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
وصلى اللهم على آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين المنتجبين. قال الله العزيز في محكم كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. صلوات محمد وعلى محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
Dear brothers and sisters, we only have, after tonight, 2 more nights left. The night of the 9th and the 10th. And then that epic battle takes place between the forces of humanity and justice and peace and tranquility and human value versus those who want to destroy the very foundations of human society. This battle between the forces of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayh and the forces of Yazid is not a battle that just happens on the 10th of Muharram 60 or 61 AH, or 60 AD rather, whereby we say that we only commemorate. No, we don't just remember, we live the experience of Karbala in every day, in every facet, in every aspect of our lives, so that we can revive the message of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein for all time. And I just said for all time. I want to go into a discussion about a few things tonight. First of all, what is this time? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is swearing by it in the surah. Wal asr. Wal asr. What is this time? This time is something that is created with the existence of multiple physical bodies. Meaning, at the point of the origin of this universe, the point of singularity, there is no space, there is no time. And the universe, as the universe expands, and the creation of these physical bodies occurs and exists, time is created within the existence of these bodies. Meaning space and time are related. They are, as they say, 2 species of the same fold. And they are the only 2 species that occur together in this way. What is time? Time is developed or created in existence of 2 moving bodies, and it is a relationship between 2 moving bodies. Meaning that there was a time before time. Now, question. Obviously what this means is that Allah exists beyond time. If time is the relationship between a movement of 2 physical bodies, what that means is that when there is no physical bodies, not even just one of them, of the 2, there is no time. There's nothing to compare it to. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exists in that specific instance of origin of the universe. Allah is the one who exists beyond time. Now, people might ask, what is this beyond time? How is this approachable? And I don't mention this just as the sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Every mu'min, every arif, every insani kamil, let alone prophet, imam or Al-Zahra, can be beyond space-time. What do I mean by that? Imagine that this phone represents the extension of space-time in two directions. When we experience the past, present, and future at the same time, if I am existing within this frame, I cannot see beyond what is physically in front of me, or what is physically happening in my time. But if I somehow go above, I can see the past, the present, and the future. What is Mi'raj? What is Mi'raj al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa alayhi? We have, in the instance of Mi'raj al-Nabi, first of all, there's only one Mi'raj mentioned in the Quran. That does not mean that there was only one Mi'raj. There are other Mi'raj of the Holy Prophet, and indeed when we say the tradition that as-salat al-mi'raj al-mu'min, that salat is the mi'raj of the mu'min, is the ascension to the divine of the mu'min, we say that a mu'min can reach the level of mi'raj. If every prayer 5 times a day is the mi'raj of the mu'min, imagine how many mi'raj Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam went through. Salat, please. A second time for the love of Fatima Al-Zahra, salat When we recount the mi'raj that is the most known of the Prophet, first of all, let me backtrack. There is one mi'raj that is mentioned in the Quran in which the ni'mah of that mi'raj is the 5 daily prayers. But there is another mi'raj before the conception of Fatima Al-Zahra, where Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam is called to paradise to eat the fruit of paradise, and he comes back and the fruit of the paradise results in the conception of Fatima Al-Zahra. Meaning, in that one mi'raj, the blessing of the mi'raj was the existence of the Lady of Light herself. Then of course we have the mi'raj that we all know. Muslims debate physical, real, physical, or spiritual, dream or whatnot. The famous Pakistani Khatib Allama Talib Johari used to say that if the body separates from the ruh or the spirit or the soul, that is maut, that is not mi'raj. For me to say that the Prophet somehow is his ruh separated, that's possible as well. But this case, we believe it was physical mi'raj, whereby he saw the past prophets and he saw the adab of the nar of Jahannam and the bliss of Jannah and how it goes and everything. In one instance, I could say, like I said with the phone, this is space-time. He became above space-time and he could see the past, present, and future.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
He saw the past prophets. He led the prayer behind them. He saw the current situation and he saw the future. Meaning the only way that's possible is if somebody is beyond space-time. Now that brings up another question. is space-time limited? First of all, let me go backtrack a little bit. In philosophy, they say that the philosophers believed in the connection of space-time before Einstein proposed his theory of general relativity. That matter and energy cannot be created or destroyed, and all they do is matter transfers itself to energy, and energy becomes matter. Now, question. The same questions I can ask about space and time, I can ask space the same question that I can ask about space, I can ask about time. Is space limited? If I say space-time, the original point of the singularity means that there was an origin of space, which means that there was an origin of time, meaning they both have an origin and beginning point. Do they have an end point? Do they have hudud, as they say, limitations, as they say? And of course, we have the idea that there is a slight difference. When I talk about space, I talk about existent reality. When I talk about time, I talk about three things: past, present, and future. Some philosophers have said the present, the past, and the future are only metaphysical realities, and the only thing that is real is this physical now. I'm getting too philosophical here. I don't know. A lot of time people say that the will and the command of God are not changing. They are constant realities. Our brethren also argue this as well. We say, if we say the will of God is an unchanging reality, but the command of God can change. If the command of God could not change, what is the purpose of dua? In Arabic, they call it bada. Well, if I'm bound to hell, and there's no way for my salvation, what am I doing praying 5 times a day? Or fasting in the month of Ramadan? Or giving khums and zakat? Or performing amar bil ma'ruf wa nahy anil munkar? All of these things, they exist because I can change my destiny. We say, our brethren say, the will and the command of God don't change. We say that the will of God is completely unchangeable. But the command of God, it can change according to the nature of the situation. Let me ask you this. At one point in time, wasn't the Torah the command of God? Yes? The Torah that was revealed to Musa was the command of God. When the Zabur came, the Psalms of David came, wasn't that the command of God? Torah changed to the Zabur, command of God changed from one command to the other. And I don't mean just Sharia to Nabi Musa, because in the Bible there is no Sharia. It is all the Sharia of Nabi Musa. But the command of God changed. And indeed, we can change our destiny, dear brothers and sisters. That is what Karbala shows us. In the previous nights, I talked about Hur. Hur changed his destiny. Whereas before the night of Shabi Ashur or Layal Ashura, Laylatul Ashura, if he was in that situation, we would have said, he is bound to nar and fire, na'udhu billah. But he changed his future. He changed his destiny. He changed the taqdeer that was written for him. Not just Hud. The 30 or some odd individuals who left Yazid's camp on the day of Ashura and joined Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, changed their future and the future of humanity completely. They showed that with the most difficult time, the most problematic situation, the most hardship, one can leave this physical realm. One can leave the Jahannam of physical desire and worldly pleasure and go to the Jannah that is the ishq of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein.
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
We can change our destiny. Indeed, that is what Allah shows us. So let us make this definite decision these days. Karbala is a lesson. Karbala is a lifestyle. Karbala is a change in lifestyle. Where if I do not see myself on the side of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein salawatullahi wa salamu alayhim, I can actively change my taqdeer. Look, who better to change our future than Abu Abdullah al-Hussein? When he is born, he changes the taqdeer of even an angel. Why? Because when he is born, Jibreel is going to give congratulations to the Prophet. Jibreel sees what in the Bible they would call a fallen angel, Fitrus. And Fitrus sees Jibreel. He says, "Where are you going?" And he says, Fitrus himself was his wings got burned because he showed pride and conceit. And his wings got removed. He says, Jibreel, where are you going? He says to Fitrus that a child has been born to Fatima Al-Zahra. I am going to congratulate Rasulullah on the birth of his second grandson. So he says, bring me with you. He goes and he says, Ya Rasulullah, congratulations. And we believe he narrated the event of Ashura, Jibreel, on that birth of Imam Hussein himself. And Fitrus addresses Rasulullah, saying, Ya Rasulullah, is there a possibility for my future to change? He says, go touch the cradle of Hussein. Saying, we had unity, but we had no justice. Everybody pledged allegiance to Yazid. Every Muslim pledged allegiance to Yazid, except Imam Hussein and Abdullah ibn Zubayr and a few others. Everybody did it. There was unity, no justice. This Christian monk was better than the whole Muslim Ummah. Why? Because when he lived in Halab, which is Aleppo in Syria now, in Sham. He says, one day I fell asleep and I saw Imam Hussein. They say that he heard a noise, his family heard a noise, and they inquired as to who it was. They say that he went outside and he saw that there were moon-like heads on lances, women without veils over their head. Imam al-Sajjad is tied in chains. He saw the head of Imam Hussein and he says to him, he says, who are you? And he says to him that, he says to the people, just give me this one head for one night. They say no. He said, I'll give you anything. Give me this head of Imam al-Hussein. He pays them their due. He takes the head for one night. He says, who are you? Imam Hussein says, Rahib, don't you recognize me? I was the one who granted you 7 children so many years ago. He says, one by one, he sacrifices all of his 7 sons that Abu Abdullah al-Hussein gave him on the way of Imam al-Hussein salawatullahi wa salamu alayhim, so much so that he becomes shaheed. Look, he is Christian. He has 7 sons by the wasila of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, and the wasiyah of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, and the blessing of Imam al-Hussein. And he sacrificed everything for the way of Imam al-Hussein? Was he not better than the Muslims? To be somebody, whether it's Christian or Jewish or Muslim or non, or whichever Muslim sects exists, but to have the characteristics that Abu Abdullah al-Hussein would approve of is better than claiming yourself to be a follower of Imam Hussein and leaving the side of Imam Hussein aside. The famous Pakistani or the Indo-Pak poet Josh Mani Abadi used to say, after Karbala, look, there are only two religions. Either you're Husseini or you're not. There's no Shia, Sunni, Christian, Jew, Buddhist, Hindu, Sikh, whatever. You are Husseini or you are not. You make this decision today, that today, from now onwards, I am Husseini. And I wanted to talk to you, dear brothers and sisters, about a very important relationship in Karbala. Karbala is the manifestation of the divine relationships, not only with Allah and the human being, but the divine relationship Allah has created between the human beings. Lady Zainab, her sons, Qasim, his father, Imam al-Hassan, his mother, Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, Ali Akbar, Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, Imam al-Sajjad, Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, Ali Asghar, Sakina, Imam Hussein, Farwa, Layla, Ghabab, and their husbands, al-Fadl and their husbands, the relationship between Sayyidah Zainab and her husband Abdullah, the relationship between Ali and Muhammad and Sayyidah Zainab. And today I want to talk to you about one specific relationship, and that is the relationship between a brother and a brother. The relationship, but let me backtrack a little bit. The relationship between a companion and a companion, a mawla and a slave. These relationships are not just at the musibah yet, so keep the light on a little bit if you can. These relationships were so divine, dear brothers and sisters, that Allah made the shifa of all the members of Imam al-Hussein salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhim through this relationship. We have relationship here as well. Relationships, or what Imam Hussein wants us to do rather in these relationships, or the manifestation of the love of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein in these relationships. And I can choose. I mentioned brother relationship, but I want to focus a little bit on the father and son relationship, and the husband and wife relationship. After Fatima Al-Zahra, Imam Ali got married. When he was married to Fatima, just like Rasulullah and Khadija bin Kubra, no marriage, other marriage during that time period. But after Fatima, Imam Ali got married again. One of the wives he married, he went to his brother Aqil, and Aqil was known to be an expert in Arab genealogy, the family trees, he knew all of them. And he went to Aqil and he said, "Oh Aqil, find me a tribe that is known for its bravery, so that I can marry a woman from that tribe, and she can bear me a son that will defend Hussein in Karbala." Brother relationship here as well. Husband-wife relationship as well. Imam Ali is told by Aqil, go marry Fatima Kilabiyya. She is that devout of a servant of Fatima Al-Zahra, that she, as the wife of Amir al-Mu'mineen, when she gets married to Imam Ali, she always considers herself to be a servant of Ahlul Bayt, not the mother of Hasanain and Zainab ibn Kulthum. No. Always a servant. She says, "Oh Ali, don't call me by the name Fatima, because when your children, when Hasanain, when Zainab and Kulthum hear the name Fatima, they think of their mother and they start crying." This al-Banin literally means mother of many sons. She had 4 sons, all of whom were sacrificed in Karbala. She goes to the house of Amir al-Mu'mineen and she says, "I am just a servant of Zahra. I am the servant of the children of Zahra." And she raises her children always as the servant of Zahra and the children of Zahra. She says about them, she says to her children, "Always treat yourself as a servant. Don't call the children of Zahra brother or sister. Call them master and miss and lady or bibi, as we would say in Urdu." And you know what? Now you can turn off the lights. Please turn off the lights. On the night of Ashura, they say that Imam al-Hussein had addressed his companions. One of the companions says, "Oh, Abu al-Fadl Abbas," to Hazrat Abbas, "do you know the reason you were given birth in this world?" And he says, "Of course I do." He says, "You were given birth in this world so that you could defend Abu Abdullah al-Hussein al-Karbala." Listen, dear brothers and sisters. Listen, dear brothers and sisters. Abu Fadl Abbas has been told time and again throughout his life that he is made for Karbala. He is made to defend Ahlul Bayt. He is made to defend the children of Fatima Zahra. Dear brothers and sisters, all the time he is ready to fight. His whole life he's been told that he's been created for Karbala. Dear brothers and sisters, imagine being Abu Fadl Abbas on the 10th of Muharram, asking all the time from his master Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam for permission to go fight, dear brothers and sisters, and being constantly told Abu Fadl Abbas, "No, you are my standard bearer. You are my standard bearer. You are the identity of my army. If you go and you leave this world, who is going to hold my flag?" There comes a time where Abu Fadl Abbas asks Abu Abdullah al-Hussein, Zuhair ibn al-Qaid isn't there, Muslim ibn al-Awsaja isn't there, Habib ibn al-Madahir isn't there, Khul isn't there, Akbar isn't there, Qasim isn't there, all Muhammad aren't there, his 3 older brothers are not there. It is just Abu Abdullah al-Hussein now. Imam Hussein, Abu Fadl Abbas, Imam Zayn al-Abidin, Abdullah al-Rabi, and Imam Muhammad Baqir remaining from the children, from the male descendants of Muhammad. Dear brothers and sisters, they say Abu Fadl Abbas went and he asked permission to go fight. Imam al-Hussein said to him, "Oh Abu Fadl Abbas, oh Abbas, you are the standard bearer of my army." Abu Fadl Abbas looks at Imam al-Hussein and he says, "Master, where is this army that you speak of? Master, where is this army that you speak of? They're all gone. Give me permission to go fight." Imam al-Hussein does not give permission to go fight, but he says, "Oh Abbas, if you want, go get water for the children of Muhammad. But first go and seek permission from your sister, Lady Zainab Salamullahi alayha." Abu Fadl Abbas, dear brothers and sisters, he goes to the tent of Sayyidah Zainab Salawatullahi wa Salamuhu alayha. He asks permission. Lady Zainab says, "Abbas, sit down. I want to tell you a story. When Rasulullah was alive, he would constantly kiss my head and my hands. I did not have the courage to ask Rasulullah why he did that. When he left this world and my father was there, my father would always kiss my head and my hands. I never had the courage to ask him, oh, Father, why are you doing this? They say that when Amir al-Mu'mineen was breathing his last, then he said, finally asked him, Father, why are you doing this? She asked him, Father, why are you doing this? And he says, Zainab, there will be a time where you won't have a veil on your head. Zainab, there will be a time where your hands will be tied in chains. And she says, when my father said that, I knew it was going to be true. But I always thought that if I had a brother like Abu Bakr, if I had a brother like Abu Bakr Abbas, nobody would be able to steal my veil or tie my hands up in robes. Now, Abu Abbas, go. I know now what my father said to me so many years ago is about to happen to me. I know my veil will be stolen off my head and my hands will be tied in robes. Imagine now, Abu Bakr Abbas, even then he is not given permission to go back. He is not given permission to draw his sword. They say, dear brothers and sisters, Abu Bakr Abbas, he had a lance, and with a lance he would separate the enemies. He would go to the enemies. He would force his way to the enemies. They say that he reached the river bank. The enemies, they would fly away from the side of Abu Bakr Abbas. Of course, this is the lion of God. This lion is the son of the lion of God. Imagine the shuja'ah. Imagine the courage and the strength and the bravery. Only a lance, not taking out his sword. Abu Bakr Abbas reaches the river bank. He gets off his horse. He goes down to the river. They say he took the water in his hands. He looked at it and he says, "Oh water, Ya nafs min ba'd al-Husayni honi." After Hussein there is no one discounts. Dear brothers and sisters, he threw away the water.